Your water?
Sure, okay.
Here?
Yeah, thanks, Pat.
Perfect, thank you so much.
Anybody else need water?
Good.
Any longer?
No, we're good.
Good, we're going to call to order the Dauphin County Gaming Advisory Board meeting of October 8th, 2025 at 3 p.m. A roll call. Mr. Leonard here. Mr. Brown. Mrs. Brown.
Present.
Mr. Iverson.
Here.
Mr. Chantel.
Here.
Ms. Bellamy.
Here.
Ms. Flower.
Here.
Ms. Echeverria.
Here.
Mr. Brooks.
Here.
Mr. Robinson, I'm sorry. He is, okay. And Mr. Connor.
Here.
Settings.
Any public participation first in the meeting today? Mary Pickens. Okay.
Do you have anything you'd like to address?
And last name is spelled Pickens. Thank you, sir.
Which organization are you with?
Pennsylvania Council.
Hello,
Hello,
are you, your name?
Smitty.
Oh, Smitty Brown. Yes, you are here at the table with the rest of the board members. Yeah.
Your first name again, sir?
Larry.
Thank you. Sure.
And Mr. Leonard,
Yes.
our other board member, Smitty Brown, is now here.
Mr. Brown? How are you? Tom Leonard? Mike Iverson? Tim Chantel?
Meet you, sir.
Mrs. Brown.
Mr. Brown, how are you, Mr. Brown?
Cousin's not anything.
On the report on next executive session.
Yeah, so there was an executive session held after the last meeting, June 8th, 2025, where the solicitors provided legal advice. Which is permitted under the section. I can confirm that that's meeting second, that's what the board discussed. Just to discuss or to receive legal advice.
Approval of the minutes from June 9th, 2025. I can get a motion.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, please. Opposed. Meeting minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda, Hollywood Casino Financial Summary and Projections. Ms. Bellamy.
Sure, so the board received summaries of the performance of all the casinos located in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania through August 2025. The way the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board reports their revenues, it's around mid-month for the prior month. And so we are at the beginning of October, and we don't have September figures yet. And so we have actual numbers through, August 2025. And what you'll see the slot revenue for all of the casinos, the iGaming or internet gaming revenue for all the casinos, and then also for the mini casinos, which are the smaller ones like Hollywood Casino in New York or Morgantown. And then what we want to highlight is the obvious, which is the performance at Hollywood Casino at Penn National Racecourse, which is the funding source for the local share municipal gaming grant program. You can see in the spreadsheet for the Hollywood Casino at Penn National that the August revenue or the revenue for the year through August remains steady at think August 2025 was slightly down from August 2024, but above average for the year of 2025. So there are no concerns there that, the revenue will significantly change as it relates to slot machine revenue. For the iGaming, it continues to hold steady and or increase. Hollywood Casino at Penn National Racecourse is the top performer in the state in iGaming. And so you'll see those numbers there. The August 2025 performance for iGaming was up 18% over August 2024. And so that should tell you that it continues to do very well. And also August 2025 was above average for the year. So when I say that, what I mean is when you look at the average performance for the year, August 2025 was above that number. And then we also provide to you a projected amount of grant funds that we think would be available based on the performance through August. And so, for your information, I think the total number last year for grant awards that was available was 9.7 million, and it's projected to exceed that number this year. And you can see that on your cover page. Or wondering what I'm referring to. If there are any specific questions about that, just let us know.
Report on pre-application workshop meetings.
So, as some of you may know, or all of you may know, that this year for the first time, the gaming program really started with pre-application workshops. In the past, there were individual pre-application meetings with applicants. And so that was a change this year from having several hundred individual meetings with potential applicants to having 8 meetings with groups. And so there were 6 meetings that were held intended for new applicants, where staff and either myself or Brett was present to explain the gaming guidelines, how to apply, what information you need to include, the important deadlines, and give the applicants the opportunity to ask questions. And then there were 2 sessions that were held for repeat applications. I think Brooke would agree that attendance was pretty good. When we get to the point of reviewing the number of applications received, I think it was around 70% or so of the applicants that submitted that actually attended a workshop or meeting. And so while it is encouraged that every applicant attend a pre-application workshop, I guess we'll continue to work on it. But, ultimately the belief is that there are real benefits in attending those sessions and understanding what is required or what is needed, and most importantly, meeting those deadlines and having the eligibility that an applicant needs in order to apply. Any other highlights about the pre-application workshops?
Great.
Good feedback.
Yes, minimal issues, honestly. We had 2 people.
How long will they just out of person curiosity?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Hour and a half sometimes.
Depends on the questions.
yeah,
The more questions, obviously, it's going to string the meeting on. But,
right.
For the attendance level, so like the workshops that were for the repeat applicants, obviously there were way more people in attendance at those, so if there were questions, it could be.
Next item on the agenda, review of receipt and rejection of ineligible late and other gaming applications.
Each of you should have received the file link. Did everybody able to open that link that I emailed you to see all the applications and the spreadsheet? Okay. Just in case you didn't or you have trouble, this is when you open the link, this is what you would see. if you wanted to look at the sponsorship request letters, you have those at hand. But mainly the submitted application list, this is what was used by our office to track everything. So it has all the information for each project. And then you can also go in and look at every individual scanned application. A little bit down the road, when Latoya and the questions are formulated for each applicant, they get questions on their application. Their questions and then answers will also be in their individual file. So you want to make sure you have this file, and that's what you'll want to look at and use to be prepared for the public hearings and reviewing applications.
And we'll know who's coming on what night, so
Correct.
we can look at those files.
Yeah.
And be ready for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the, as Brooke mentioned, you received the link with the spreadsheet where she has tracked the applications that were received. At this point, we'd say there are about 250 applications that will likely proceed, or, based on one, however you act today. Also, things come up. Some applicants withdraw. Sometimes, between the deadline, which was October 1st, and this meeting, October 8th, other things could be discovered. But at this point, what we know, and also, did I say also applications could show up in the mail?
Yeah.
Because mail is an acceptable way to submit the application. And so there have been instances where, 2 weeks later or so, an application shows up. But what we do know, based on what's been received and tracked, that there are 9 applications that have presented a concern. 8 of them are being recommended as being ineligible, where they don't have a sponsor that they need to be able to apply. And specifically, these are the ones that were identified with having concerns. And so the Barrysburg Municipal Authority submitted an application. However, they did not submit a sponsorship request by the deadline. Their sponsorship letter was in their application that they submitted for the first time. So the sponsorship requests, or all sponsorship requests, were due by September 2nd. And the reason for that, there's a prior deadline. And in this grant cycle, the Board of Commissioners approved the sponsorship request on September 24th. So they missed that deadline. So that's the first one. Lingelstown Baseball Association, same situation. They did not submit a sponsorship request by the deadline. Their sponsorship letter was in their application. It was not received before or by the sponsorship request deadline. The third one, Follow Me Early Education Center. They did not have a sponsorship letter at all. They only had a letter of support from the municipality, unfortunately. Cybersecurity Association of Pennsylvania. Similar instance, their sponsorship request was not submitted by the deadline. It was in their application. Hershey Partnership, Hershey Chamber, they did not have a sponsorship letter or submit a sponsorship request. They have a letter of support.
So a letter of support was emailed August 26th or 27th in the hustle of the 9/2 deadline. I saw that it was a support letter from Dairy Township, so I just said, make sure your support letters are in your application because they're not required ahead of time. Not realizing in the email, it was stated that we hope we get commissioners' sponsorship. No official county sponsorship letter was submitted until after or right before the application deadline.
So much.
Still not submitted on time, but then also the application.
So that applicant would be deemed ineligible without a sponsor, but that applicant also happened to submit their application to the wrong address. But arguably, you wouldn't even get to that point because they're not eligible, so it doesn't matter where you submit. The next one,
Emailing me that.
Dauphin County, the Dauphin County Work Release Center, their sponsorship request letter was submitted late, unfortunately. And so they're not eligible. They did not receive sponsorship from the Board of Commissioners. And then Liberty Hose Company number 1, which is in Likens, their sponsorship request was not submitted on time. And then there's Reliance Hose Company number 1 in Elizabethville. Their sponsorship request was also not submitted on time. So all the ones I mentioned, there were 8 of them, had issues with obtaining a sponsor, whether their sponsorship letter was in their application but never submitted by the sponsorship deadline, because they didn't have one at all. And then finally, Harrisburg Area Police Athletic League, their application was delivered to the wrong address. And so it was not received at this office where the applications were due, which is spelled out in the application. The office address is on the website. It was explained during the workshops. And so unfortunately it was delivered at the address.
Regarding the addresses, earlier you said that there were potentially additional applications that are still inbound through the mail service. Are they held accountable to a postmark date?
Yes.
It has to be replaced
So
by
much-
9/1.
So the postmark, initiating postmark date must be.
10-1.
10.
Or 10/1,
Yes.
sorry.
Okay, very good. So it still has that, the post date has to be.
Yes.
Okay.
And even if it's a courier, because we've seen that in the past, identifying whether it was delivered to UPS or FedEx. So yes, the application instructions say that it has to be postmarked 10-1 or delivered in person.
What did you say at the last meeting, you put a box in the lobby?
No, we used to have a drop box at our old location, but there was no drop box,
Okay.
and that was taken out of the program guidelines.
The only caveat is our name is still in the building.
But there's also a
is.
sign that says, "We have moved."
But I'm just being,
Yeah, so, certainly staff looked at all of the facts, and some of them are that, one, they've been at the new address for about 6 months. 2, the application guidelines are reviewed at the pre-application workshops. They're available online. The new address is in there, I would say maybe about 5 times. When it identifies who the grant coordinator is, which is Brooke, when it identifies where the application should be submitted. The sample letters for requesting sponsorship have the correct office address. To George's point, on the other side, the old office address or old office building does still have the office name on the sign outside. However, if you go inside, it says that they
Also just add that the one applicant's envelope that was delivered to the old address had our new address handwritten on it. And then the other applicant who delivered at the wrong address delivered a payment request yesterday to our new office. So
So it's up
yeah.
it's up to the board whether to accept or reject those applications for the reasons that have been identified.
And all of these things were covered in the workshop sessions.
yes, multiple.
And I guess one other point, fairly or unfairly, about 257 applications submitted, 2 went to the wrong address.
In previous years, was there any precedent set that anything was accepted? How was this handled previously?
We did not allow applications that were late or whatever. I mean, it happens.
There were instances,
People aren't, they get upset, they're gonna call the commissioners, I'll get the blame, but, it is what it is. I mean, you have to have guidelines. So,
And if you don't, if you do it for one, you have to do
That's why I said
200.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to know if they said, hey, you let us do it last year.
Definitely no late
no
ones.
late.
missing the deadline of the passport was, hard on, that's the deadline is the deadline.
Yeah.
Including, I know that there were instances where you used to have a drop box, like a mail bin sort of thing outside of the office door when we were in the Veterans Building. And, at 4:30 when the office closed, that bin went inside, if someone came at 4:35.
Same way with letters of support. Yeah, well, same way.
So the sponsorship letters or requests are slightly different because they can be emailed. The applications can't. And so I would think that the majority of them come by email.
Okay.
But they also were, this year, this grant cycle were held to September 2nd. There were requests that came in after that date that were not
And also
by the commissioners.
And I also was very strict on the dual signatures. I made sure that everybody had a dual signature for the non-municipal, municipal letters.
And again, covered in all the meetings and you. Okay. Take a vote on it. Is there a motion not to deny the late, okay, I guess it would be denied.
I would recommend a motion to reject the 8 applications that were submitted without sponsors.
So moved.
Second? Second. Any questions? Any more comments, questions, concerns? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And then, sorry. No, and then, thank you. And then a motion to reject the one application that was delivered to the wrong address, or if you want to be specific, age map.
Motion for that.
So,
Second,
Second.
questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. Next item on the agenda, report on administration of gaming grants. Brooke.
so each of you received the printout from our Oracle system showing the expenditures and available funds for all awarded grants that were loaded into the Oracle system. We are, or will be working on closing out the 2022 funds that are still remaining. We had a little bit of an office transition and we weren't able to get to closing out those 22s that already expired, but I see no concerns. I have no problems with any of the administration duties of these grants, so I think we're good to go. The 2025 grant award or agreements are being worked on and will be sent out. We're having great help by our office to do those. So they are rolling out and funds will be spent here soon on the 2025 awards. And if you have any questions after reviewing these, we're happy to answer, or if we can look at it further, just let me know.
So the expenditures are just starting to come in from the last cycle of.
So no expenditures have come in yet, really for 2025, because those agreements have not been fully executed. The only ones that are spending money are the unrestricted ones that we administer. They do not have agreements.
I think we discussed this at the last meeting with the dates, the 2019-078, like the last one, Dauphin County Parks and Rec, that only originated in 2019.
Yeah, it has an agreement, but with it being a county, it's an MOU. That's why it's still outstanding and have funds available. And then like the city of Harrisburg, a lot of them just need to be closed out in Oracle. The funds need to be removed. Unfortunately, if it's not closed out in the budgeting program, it's still working.
So would you believe that many of those showing no expenditures are actually should be closed out?
Yes, yep, and we will be cleaning this up once we are able to get in, have time to do that. And unfortunately, if some of them are old, like the old 22s, there's not a section on this spreadsheet that shows like when the extension was given. So there's not a lot of detail on this report. What we have is not a grant management system, so you can't put any notes in there or what if there's exceptions made. If you have a question on any particular one, we can look into that and let you know.
Anything else to look? Any more comments? Just have to figure out what's our next step. I'm sure that's where we're gonna go.
I have a comment that I should have brought up earlier. And so several of you were at the June meeting and were able to discuss or ask questions about conflicts of interest. And I was able to speak with Ms. Brown prior to this meeting. And Mr. Brown, if you have any questions, just let me know. But with the list of applications received or submitted that you received, you should review that list. And if you identify any applicants or entities that you have a business relationship with or employment relationship with, receive a certain level of gifts from, or any other potential or perceived conflicts, you need to let us know that. And we will take that information and give it to staff. And going forward in the process, any hearings, considerations or recommendations for awards related to those applicants, you would recuse yourself and not participate in the review, consideration, and voting on these applications. Should have asked prior to voting on rejecting those applications whether or not you all have any potential conflicts with those entities that were listed.
I didn't know.
Excellent. Thank you. So we'll look for a either an email or a phone call from you once you have the opportunity to go through the list of all the applications that were submitted.
Okay.
And you can either email George or myself or both of us
Okay.
that information and follow up with you. Okay. And then I think the other thing that I want to mention is about the public hearing dates. They have been set. I know they've been posted on the department's website. Have they been
They
advertised?
have been advertised.
And so the plan is to hold public hearings for applicants on December 2nd, December 3rd, December 4th, December 15th, and December 16th from 3 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. in this room.
One of those, what, 10, 15 minutes? Is that right?
They're 30-minute time slots,
Okay,
either for one applicant or split between two, so you have two 15 minutes.
okay. Anything else?
Just for your information, we talked about pre-application workshops. They were very well attended. There were potential applicants that attended some of those that did not submit applications. There were also a number of applicants that submitted sponsorship requests and did not submit applications. And I think you have that information from Brooke. I just wanted to point that out. And that has happened over the years.
One's in red.
Yeah.
I didn't read all the way over, when I asked about who can get it in on time, I just didn't read it far enough.
Yeah, so that's the second tab on that spreadsheet.
Got it.
Requested sponsorship, no application. These are everything.
So, Mr. Chairman, when we start the public hearings, you're gonna control the process. So you gotta make sure someone's gotta be the timer. How many board members set the time, make sure it's a methodical type process.
Okay.
If not, we're gonna be until 11.
Yeah,
So, you have to tell people, hey, you got a half an hour, you got 15 minutes, timer's gonna go off, whoever has the timer, once it hits, keep them moving, because if one goes over 10, 15 minutes,
yeah,
then it's just gonna be a domino effect.
I'm with you.
And on a reversal, if it's too fast, and some people aren't here in time, you guys can leave, and then they come and you're not here.
Yeah.
We had that happen. Like, someone came 5 minutes before the presentation, we were done, before they left. I said, what do you want me to do? You're supposed to be here 45 minutes before your presentation. They were upset with me, but there's nothing I could do.
No.
So you guys gotta be on time and keep people moving and don't.
I asked them to be here 30 minutes ahead of time, but this is how I plan on setting up the room. Are you comfortable? Because we wanted the board on one side, so that if you have your computers, you don't have public sitting behind you. We'll have the public area over here with, we're probably gonna have to get more chairs because Tim won't be here. So we'll just have one chair left over. So we'll have to bring at least 2 more chairs over for the end for the presenters to be brought in. And then we'll have a checkout station or check-in station out in the hallway with chairs for the applicants when they come to sit there and wait until George typically goes out and brings the next presentation in to the board.
For past practice, what is the most effective amount of time for each presentation? What would you recommend from the past years of the presentation? Would we allot 15 minutes? We allot 20 minutes? What do you think the best amount of time is for that?
We'll have that set before they get in here, based off of if it's a prior applicant, whatever it may be. We'll kind of know how much time they need. And we try to group the applicants and the public hearings based off of what the project is. So if it's relatable, like churches, or if it's nonprofits that do sports or whatever it may be. So it's going to be the same type of projects on each night. If it's infrastructure, it's playground, or whatever it may be. So we'll know. But I would say, like, if they have a half an hour, you want to stop it at like maybe 20, because then you may have some questions.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to stop it right at a half an hour, then you don't have time for questions.
Yeah.
And then if you guys start engaging with questions, then you're gonna go over the half an hour. So I would say like 20 minutes on a half an hour,
Yeah.
on 15, like 8 or 9 minutes, so you have some time to ask questions.
So you'll have the schedule with the allotted time for
Yes.
each presentation.
And you
We'll do all
will,
that.
you'll have that as well.
Yeah,
You'll
you'll
know
have
who's coming in and when.
You'll have that prepared.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not every applicant does a PowerPoint presentation. Some people just come in and talk. They'll get the questions that the gaming advisory board and staff create for them, and usually we ask them to address those questions in their presentation. So you'll want to allot them time to answer those questions and go over that.
When do we work and prepare our questions? How does that process?
So as you review the applications, if you have questions or that you want to ask, we can obviously Brooke, or the ones that are prepared, you can review those and see if they have anything that you think you should ask.
And there any standardized questions that all applicants are asked?
No, but they're,
What we do is, if you don't get the grant, will this project still happen? That's kind of like a standard question. If you don't get a grant, does the project still happen? Because you have the money to do it, why would we grant you that? That's one. In my opinion.
but also with the program guidelines, if you recall, there's that outline of information that's supposed to be in the application. So that's a really good guide for, did they provide this information? Did they respond on whether or not they, have a mutual aid, or, whether they report through PenFERS, or if they skipped all of that, they're likely going to be asked, response.
Do we know at this point how many of the applicants are repeaters? Look,
It would be easy to figure out.
yeah, but because I think I don't think we'd be setting ourselves up, but we become the only source of funding for these entities, then there's really no incentive for them to go out and seek money elsewhere.
That's one of my main things.
And so,
So, yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
I would make just two exceptions to that. I say this jokingly, but it's serious. There are not enough chicken dinners or barbecues that you can have to help our local fire departments and our EMS services. And so, they may be repeaters in terms of getting grant money, but from what I know, most of them carry a lot of debt.
Yeah,
And so, but as I said, some of those others, is it their first time or second time? And in between times, did they raise any money of their own other than what you're getting from the gaming monies?
So one of the points in the application that they're supposed to hit is how are they going to leverage the gaming dollars? And so they should be identifying any other funding sources they have that will be contributed to the project, including in their budget. In their budget, not only should they say what the project costs, they should say how they're paying for it. So if they, have some seed money of their own to invest, or they have a line of credit, they're applying for other grants. They know they received them, they don't know yet. They can update that when they come before you to do their presentation and say, we got a yes, we got a no. So we went to this other organization, or, no, we're asking for 100% project costs. But that's part of the application, it should be in there.
Can the spreadsheet with all the applicants be arranged by municipal applicants, public safety service applicants, nonprofits, and for-profit businesses? Can it be arranged in that hierarchy so we can actually go through? I've been looking through them since I received it yesterday. And I think for me, it would be helpful to have them broken out in those regards, because it appeared that some of the applicants were strictly a business, a for-profit business that was looking for gaming grants for renovations or upgrades to their building. Some were 501c3s that provided health and human services, nonprofit. Some were strictly municipalities that needed municipal upgrade, be it a bridge or a sewer line. And then many of those were municipal support service agencies such as fire departments, fire rescue, EMS. So I think for me, I don't know about the rest of the board, but I think it would be helpful if it's arranged, not just alphabetical, but if there's another sheet that could be created that we could arrange it in that type of a logical arrangement, I think it'd be.
It can be done. There are people that know how to do that. I'm not one of those people, but it can be sorted.
Yeah.
As long as the information is in there, which it is. If it's municipality, it can be sorted that way. If we know, if it's a nonprofit or for-profit, it can be sorted that way. The public safety portion may be take a little more time, but short may be done. But it won't have to be a whole new report or spreadsheet.
Last meeting, we talked about the challenges that you have with Oracle and the challenges that you don't have the grant management software. And I believe there's some discussion about having the Dauphin County Industrial Development Authority consider obtaining that for the DCED.
Yeah,
What's the status with that?
We have a grant for that. We're working on it. That's under our redevelopment. The grant was.
Would that grant be a grant for the gaming?
Yes, it was a game.
So then there would be, and also so I understand how this works, does DCED fall under the Industrial Development Authority? Or are they separate entities? Explain that hierarchy to me so I understand.
They're all separate entities. Do you want to explain?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, the Dauphin County Department of Community and Economic Development is a county department. Within that office or department, they administer or direct the Industrial Development Authority. George is the executive director. The redevelopment authority is the executive director. The Economic Development Corporation is the executive director. And anyone?
Clear Bank.
the Land Bank Authority.
So they're under the
That
umbrella
office.
of DCED.
Yeah, but
Okay.
they all have their own boards.
Okay, so DCED is the
Yes.
larger of those agencies, so then the rest fall under it. I guess my question kind of goes back to a discussion we had in the last meeting, was regarding all of the funds, discretionary funds, non-discretionary funds. And the answer was, well, that's the Industrial Development Authority. DCED can't tell us where those funds go, you have to ask them. So I was just wondering how that whole,
You're talking about the unrestricted.
yeah,
That's
We
the
don't,
county.
that's the county.
that's just directly to. Because the answer was, we would have to get it from the Industrial Development Authority, that information.
No,
Nothing.
the county commission.
I want to make sure I understand
Yeah.
information on what.
Some of the unrestricted.
The unrestricted funds.
Oh, yeah.
Half of the money that comes from the gaming, half of it's unrestricted.
Correct,
Right.
and that's with the Board of Commissioners.
I was mistaken, I
The
thought. we were told-
IDA,
but-
the Gaming Advisory Board, the Gaming Advisory Board funds are under the IDA, the Industrial Development Authority, the restricted funds.
As
So,
the administrator.
as the administrator, so those funds, those checks are seen by the IDA board for approval and like the release of those checks.
All of the local share assessment funds that come to the county are approved by the Board of Commissioners, whether they're restricted or unrestricted. The restricted funds that come to the county from local share assessment are what fund the municipal grant program. The unrestricted funds are discretionary for the commissioners to spend how they desire to spend.
Through the general fund.
And so that I can't answer. If they awards or approve some of those funds and direct George's office to administer it, it may come to his office. Is that through the IDA day?
Yes.
IDA. And so, but none of those decisions or awards or anything for unrestricted funds are through the IDA, this board, or any other board in his
Strictly
office.
the three commissioners.
Correct, yes.
We just administer those.
And
I
we
tried
don't-
my best to get online to see the organizational structure in the county, it's not out there. So like for me to be able to look at how that organizational chart looks, and it's very impossible, it's nearly impossible for a citizen at large to even see how it all works. So then, Mr. Connor, you are the director of DCED and the Industrial Development Authority. Okay. So, but they're different agencies.
Legal entities.
There's one of oversight of the other. They're totally independent.
The Dauphin County Industrial Development Authority is an instrumentality of the Commonwealth. And they have their own independent board. And the Dauphin County Economic Development Corporation is a nonprofit.
The two funds are equal, like I can say that. Restricted and
No.
unrestricted.
No. And so if you recall, the unrestricted side of the money has a, relative to the total amount, has a small amount that goes to let's see. There's $280,000 from the unrestricted that automatically goes to Lebanon County. And there's $50,000 from the unrestricted that automatically goes to Schuylkill County. So that's a total of $230,000. Difference between the two.
Yes.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Anything else? Mr. Brown? Mr. Young? Anything else? Any other public participation? Mr. Pickens, you have anything? You just observing.
No, I just thank you for the opportunity to observe what you're doing, and thank you for your service and giving me the opportunity to be here.
A motion for adjournment? Second? Favor, say aye. Any opposed? Morning.
There's some reading to do, everybody.
A lot of reading.
Thank you.
Some of you I know. I just